boys and girls. This week we're going to be reading a story out of our reading textbook. So if you do not have your reading textbook in front of you, please go get it now. You may want to pause the video so you can go get your reading textbook, and you're going to need to turn to page 24. Turn to page 24. So we're reading a story called When Charlie McButton Lost Power. And in order to understand not only When Charlie McButton Lost Power, but other stories that we're going to be reading throughout the year, we're going to be learning a skill called literary elements. Now, you may have not heard of the word literary elements before. You may have heard of the word story elements. But story elements or literary elements are characters, setting, and theme. And if you see here where my cursor is pointing to, you see a bullseye. That bullseye means that this skill is really important for you to learn and understand, because this skill we will be working on throughout the entire week, and when we take our test, we're going to be testing you on how well you understand or have learned this skill. Now, when we talk about literary elements, the first thing that I think of is characters. The characters within my story. Okay, a character is a person or an animal in a story. We learn about characters when we read our story. We learn about how they change, how they're in their relationships, from their actions, and what they say throughout the story. We also learn about setting. Now, setting is where and when a story takes place. And then lastly, we have the word theme. Theme is what you learn from the story, and it can be supported with details. When I think of the word theme, I think of, what did the author really want me to learn from reading that story? Was there a lesson in the story that I should have learned after reading it? So again, we're going to be learning about literary elements, character, setting, and theme. I want you to now look at page 25. On page 25, I'm going to read you a story called Flash to Bang. Now, as I read you the story, I really want you to think about the literary elements. I want you to think about characters. Who are the characters in this story that I'm going to read to you? Where is the setting? Where and when did this story take place? And the theme. Was there a lesson that the author wanted me to know about or learn about? All right, boys and girls, here we go. We're going to start reading on the top of page 25. Please make sure you're following along and listening. Flash to Bang. Thomas stood in the yard and looked up at a big dark cloud. He could see lightning in the distance. It would probably rain soon. All week the weather had been sunny and warm. Now it was Saturday. No school, no karate practice, no piano lesson, and he really wanted to spend the day playing outside. "Why can't I stay outside?" he asked his mom. "I don't mind getting wet." "It's not the rain I'm worried about," she told him as they went inside. "Lightning is dangerous, and the storm is coming closer." "How can you tell?" Thomas wondered. "Lightning causes thunder," his mom replied. "But it takes time for the sound of the thunder to reach us. When you see lightning, count the seconds until you hear the thunder. For every 5 seconds you count, the lightning is about 1 mile away." During the storm, they counted seconds from seeing the flash of lightning to hearing the bang of thunder. Thomas learned something new and had fun with his mom. Okay, boys and girls, we've read our story. I hope during that time you were listening to and trying to figure out who the characters were within the story. where and when the story took place, and was there a lesson that the author wanted us to learn? So I want you to go ahead and get out a piece of paper. It can be a piece of notebook paper, a scratch paper. Just get out a piece of paper, okay? Here's my piece of paper. Mine says Flash to Bang. You probably do not have that if you are at home, and that is okay. But you can label characters, setting, and theme. Now we are going to fill this out together. So from reading the story Flash to Bang, who were the characters in the story? Let's think about this. Well, I know that there is a main character, and it was about a boy, and that boy's name was Thomas. So I know Thomas was in the story. So you're going to write Thomas underneath the word characters. At any time you need to pause this video, go ahead and pause the video so you can write. Now, there can be more than one character within a story. You see the word characters, it has an S on the end. That it means it's plural. And plural means more than one. So in this story, I do know that there was another character. If you need to go back to your story to look, go ahead, pause the video, go back to your story and look to see if there is another character within the story. Now I know Thomas was talking to somebody. Who was he talking to? You got it, his mom. So we're going to put mom. We're going to put mom. Okay, and I think that was it. We learned, or we heard and met the characters Thomas and Thomas's mom. Now let's go on to setting. Now remember, boys and girls, setting is where and when the story takes place. Where and when the story takes place. When I think about these literary elements, I always try to start from the beginning of the story. I like to do things in order because it helps me keep organized. It helps me keep my thoughts organized. So when I'm thinking about the setting of the story, I remember reading that it was the weekend. He did not have school. He did not have karate practice. Okay? He wanted to go outside and play. So if I'm looking at it, the story begins in Thomas's yard on a Saturday. So we are going to write underneath setting in Thomas's yard on a Saturday. There is also something else that I remember was happening. I do remember that even though he wanted to play outside, his mom said he couldn't. And why couldn't he? Well, a storm was coming. So that really helps me visualize the setting of the story. And I'm going to write, a storm was coming. Okay, good job, boys and girls. So we have our characters. We have Thomas and the mom. And then the setting is where and when the story takes place. We know it takes place in Thomas's yard, and we know it's on a Saturday, and a storm was coming. Now the last part of our literary element is theme. Remember I told you that when I think of the word theme, I think of what did the author want me to learn? Was there a lesson that the author wanted to teach me while I read that story? So I know that Thomas wanted to go outside and play, and he was very disappointed that he couldn't play because it was raining. And it wasn't the fact that he was scared to get wet, but he couldn't go out because of the lightning. What happened was he actually learned something from his mom. He learned how to track how far the lightning was away by listening to the thunder. So you see, boys and girls, even though Thomas couldn't do what he wanted to do on that Saturday, which was play outside and have a lot of fun, and he was really disappointed that it was raining, he had a lot of fun learning something new from his mom. How cool is that? So the theme of this story is that you can have fun doing something new, even if it wasn't planned. So I'm going to write that. You can have fun doing something new, even, oh, I apologize, you can't read that. If it wasn't planned. Ask yourself, has that ever happened to you? Have you ever planned something and it didn't happen and you were really disappointed, but yet you found something better to do? Or maybe you learned something new and you kind of forgot about those other plans. So boys and girls, please make sure as you listen to When Charlie McButton Lost Power, you think about the characters, not just the names of the characters, but who they are. Describe each character. Tell me what they're like. The setting, where did the story take place? When did it take place? And the theme, what did the author want me to learn from reading this story? What lesson did I learn? All right, great job, boys and girls.